In 2019, I uploaded my first ever book to Amazon KDP, and fast forward to today, I've sold over $900,000 worth of these books, completely replaced my 9-to-5 income, can work and live from wherever I want to in the world, and I'm not even an author. Now, Amazon KDP completely changed my life, and if you're watching this video, I'm going to assume you're dreaming of a life exactly like this, making money online and just having complete life freedom. And I genuinely believe Amazon KDP, just like it was for me, can be the ticket for you to achieve exactly this. So over the next few minutes, I'll explain exactly what the Amazon KDP business model is and how it works. Show you a couple of books that are absolutely smashing it right now, just to show you what you can kind of expect from this business. And then finally, I'll move on to the exact strategy that I would use if I was starting Amazon KDP completely from scratch today. So firstly, why should you listen to me when it comes to Amazon KDP? Well, as I mentioned, I built 2 successful Amazon KDP businesses, generating over $300,000 in book royalties and over $900,000 in book sales. So royalties is the amount that I actually got back and took home personally myself. This is a sales number. This ultimately allowed me to quit my job and move to Bali in 2022. And I now have complete location freedom and can work from pretty much wherever I want to in the world, as I mentioned in the intro of this video. And just to prove that I'm not waffling or making all of these up, here are just some screenshots from some of my actual Amazon KDP accounts. As you can see from my first ever Amazon KDP account, generated over £129,000 worth of royalties. Again, this is royalties, the actual number I received back, not just some massively inflated sales number. Within that first account, I also made over £32,000 from a single Amazon KDP coloring book. Just to prove this wasn't luck, I also then went ahead and made a brand new account, and within 9 months grew this from $0 to $24,000 in royalties, which included 2 books that made over £8,500 in their first 3 months. And I also made just under £11,000 in under 2 weeks on one of my KDP accounts too. So as you can see, I'm not making all of this up. I've actually been there and done that. These are real results from a real business that I'm going to be introducing you to in this video. Now, of course, the money is great, but it's all about the experiences and the life it allows you to live off the back of that. And because Amazon KDP is not only lucrative, but it's also very flexible in terms of what it allows you to do with your life, I've been fortunate enough that I've been able to travel around the world, meet some incredible people who are also entrepreneurs, expand my network, and just live the life that I always dreamed of living, all thanks to the income generated from Amazon KDP. Now, I'm sure that's probably quite a lot of motivation to get yourself into Amazon KDP and learn a little bit more about it. So I'm going to go through now what Amazon KDP is as a business model. So a lot of people hear about, making a living selling books on Amazon. What exactly does it involve? What does it mean? Well, Amazon KDP just stands for Kindle Direct Publishing and is Amazon's own self-publishing platform that allows anyone in the world to sell books on Amazon. Now, we are going to be selling physical books, but because it's a print-on-demand business model, we only ever create online versions of these books. And here's exactly what I mean and how this step-by-step process works. So as I said, we're going to be producing digital versions of physical books that get printed on demand. So here's kind of a step-by-step guide. Firstly, you will make a book interior file and a book cover file. These are both PDF files. You'll then upload both of those to Amazon. You'll choose a price, you'll set your description, choose an author name, all of those kinds of things, and then it'll be listed live on Amazon's marketplace just like any other product. It will have Prime delivery, and it will just look like any other book or any other product on Amazon. And then ultimately, when someone comes across your listing and buys your book, at that point, Amazon will then deliver it. They'll send it off to the customer. They'll deal with all the logistics, all the customer service, and then you just take a 60% cut of the sale price minus printing costs. Now, this can be does go down to 50% for books that are a lot cheaper, but I would recommend making books that are a little bit more expensive because you retain the 60% cut. And then in terms of net margins, once you actually deduct these printing costs, it works out to be around 30%. So when you consider you're literally just uploading books to Amazon, they take care of all the customer service, logistics, returns, all that kind of boring stuff. You take 30% back of every single sale you make. So if you sell a book for £10, you do absolutely nothing and you get £3 back as a royalty. That's basically how this works. Of course, that £3 number does change based on a number of things, the size of your book, the number of pages, but it's roughly around a 30% net margin at the end of it. And ultimately, this has so many benefits to it. You literally never touch a book. Amazon does everything for you. So it's as passive an income as you are going to get. I hate the word passive income online. I feel like everyone kind of overuses it. In my opinion, this is pretty much as close to passive income as you are ever going to get. You also need hardly any money to get started with Amazon KDP because everything is print on demand. You're not investing thousands of pounds or dollars worth into stock just to get started. You only basically pay in this margin here that I'm talking about. So you literally don't need any money to get started with Amazon KDP unless you want to run things like ads, but even so, that's only a small amount that you need. And you can ultimately operate your KDP business from literally anywhere in the world. So if you're looking for something that's going to give you an online income and give you flexibility about, what you can do with your life, this is literally the perfect business model to start. Now, here is an example of what an Amazon KDP book actually looks like. As you can see, it's a stress relief adult coloring book. So one thing also mentioned when we're talking about books, it by no means has to be like a full-length novel or non-fiction book. It can be things like, we call these medium content books, things like activity books, maze books, all those kinds of things. Coloring books is exactly the same. And this is an example of a coloring book. As you can see, it's a stress relief adult coloring book with animals, landscapes, flowers, patterns, mushrooms, and many more for relaxation. It shows up just like any other Amazon product. And as you can see, here is the interior page of, a coloring page. These are actually super simple to make with a load of tools. And in my KDP beginner course, Publish with Profit Academy, I do show you how to make a number of books. And one of those is coloring books with designs exactly like this. And just to show you how much money this book is actually making, as you can see, this is the Amazon.com store. So it's no longer on the UK, so it's in dollars. $9.99. If you scroll all the way down here to what's known as the bestseller rank, it is ranked 447 in books. And I'm going to show you exactly what that means now. This essentially means it's the 447th best-selling book on the entire of Amazon. And here's exactly what this means in terms of sales numbers. So if I just head over to a KDP BSR sales calculator, I'll leave this link down below in the description if you want to go ahead and check this out. You go ahead and just put that bestseller rank in here. 447 means this book is selling 8,790 units every single month. And if I put in a bit more information about it, it's an A4 book, has 106 pages. It's listed at this price. This book is selling just under $19,000 worth of passive income every single month. This person has literally uploaded this book once and they're making just under $20,000 in passive income every single month. So it's an extremely powerful business model. Yes, not every single book you're going to make is going to be like this. I wish this was one of my books. Unfortunately, it's not. But if you're even just having, $500 to $1,000 passive income per book per month, if you stack these on top of each other, you can see just how successful this business model can be for you. And that's exactly what I've done in my own KDP business. So that's exactly what Amazon KDP is, and also some of the potential money you can make from this business model. Now, for the rest of this video, I'm going to show you exactly what I would do if I was starting completely from scratch from Amazon KDP to start making as much money as quickly as possible. Now, this whole strategy kind of revolves around this one point here. You do not need to be an author to be successful on Amazon KDP. Literally all you need to do is find out what people are searching for on Amazon, i.e. the kind of books that they're demanding, and simply create the books that best serve these people. It can be a coloring book, it can be a journal, it could be an activity book, it could be a word search book, it could be a crossword book, it could be a maze book. It can literally be whatever kind of book you want. You can create things completely from scratch yourself, so you have complete freedom over whatever book you want to make. Because ultimately, it's not about the book itself. It's all about finding opportunities in the market and just using tools to create these books. And in a minute, I'll show you a great tool that you can use to create these books completely from scratch. So you're probably thinking, why do some people make a lot of money from Amazon KDP while others don't? And that's because Amazon KDP is all about research and following data. So here is the big mistake that so many people make, and the single mistake that separates people who make no money from Amazon KDP and people who make a lot of money from Amazon KDP. By far, the biggest mistake most people make on Amazon KDP is producing books that they think are going to sell well. For example, they have a great idea for a coloring book, make it, and then wonder why it's not making any sales. And the reason why it's not making any sales is because they haven't validated their great idea using data from Amazon. Now, a lot of gurus on Amazon KDP are fooling people into thinking you can make kind of any book you want and it will just make you money. This sounds great on a sales page if you're trying to push a course or something to someone, but honestly, if it was that easy, even my dog would be doing Amazon KDP. Now, I'm not going to kind of say who this was, but there was a kind of a pretty big Amazon KDP YouTuber, has over 100,000 subscribers. I'm not doing this to kind of, throw shade on anybody or create any kind of beef, but it just kind of frustrates me a little bit when you see people, like myself, who have authority on YouTube, especially in the Amazon KDP space, and they're kind of fooling people into thinking, you can make loads of money from Amazon KDP creating books like this. Essentially, in his video, He gave you a step-by-step tutorial about how to make, be successful on KDP. And this is the book that he produced, A Horse's Word Search. For anyone who's not really heard of Amazon KDP, they might see this and think, oh, this is great. This sounds really easy. I'm just going to make loads of money from it. But anyone who's actually done Amazon KDP knows that this book is not a good Amazon KDP book. It looks great because it's super easy to make and it looks like you've made them this amazing word search, but there's no data behind it. There's no reason why anyone's actually going to go ahead and buy this book. If I actually click into this book listing, this is the actual live Amazon book listing. As you can see, this is exactly what we had before. If we scroll down, go to the BSR rank, it is ranked 7,089,000 in books. This basically means this book is literally not selling. It has sold at least a unit because it has a bestseller rank, but I imagine it's probably sold no more than one unit ever since it was published on December the 5th, 2024. This is not the kind of book you want to make. Yes, it looks great in a YouTube video tutorial, but if you actually want to make money from Amazon KDP, you need to have data behind the decisions that you're making, and the data should drive exactly what books that you create. So here's what you need to do instead. The best KDP publishers do not even think about creating the book until they know people will want to buy it. So rather than just creating a book, just like this one, because you have this great idea that, Horse's Word Search is going to sell really well, rather than just creating a book and then figuring out who to sell it to, you need to find out what books people are demanding and make sure there isn't already too much competition for that already. And this is where my 3-step Amazon KDP process comes in. So my 3-step Amazon KDP process, there are 3 steps. Firstly, you want to find out if people are actually demanding your book. Secondly, you then need to assess the current level of competition. And then finally, you want to create this book using tools. These are the 3 most important steps to an Amazon KDP business, especially if you're just starting out. So firstly, how do we find out if people are actually demanding your book? Well, customers are literally telling you. Now, in this previous example, as you can see here, it was a horse's word search book, but I'm going to go here and show the example of a horse coloring book. As you can see, if you just type in something like horse coloring book into Amazon, there are so many different suggestions of related keywords around this. So these basically are all phrases that people commonly search on Amazon. And because they're coming up as commonly searched, it shows that there is quite a bit of demand around some kind of horse coloring book. So people are searching horse coloring book for adults, horse coloring book for girls aged 8 to 12, horse coloring book for kids 8 to 12, so on and so forth. You can see all of that. Whereas if you type in something like bin coloring book, something that obviously no one is searching for, there is no recommended keywords around this. For some reason, there are some that get recommended. They're not actually around a bin coloring book. They're just talking about bins for coloring books. I don't know if there's a specific bin for coloring books, but it seems like there is. But no one is searching for any kind of variation of bin coloring book, bin for coloring books, storage bin for coloring books, plastic storage bin for coloring books. Whereas if you type in horse coloring book, for adults, for girls, for kids, easy, for girls, So many different variations of that main keyword. This shows how much demand there is around this kind of book. This shows that there isn't demand around this kind of book. So the first step you need to do is search into Amazon a kind of book idea that you have. If it looks something like this, that's a great sign. It shows that there is demand around this kind of book. Because ultimately, if there's no demand around a book, no one's going to buy it. So you may as well not even create that book in the first place. Now, as soon as you know that people are demanding a certain book, you then need to weigh up the level of competition against it. Now, there is ultimately no point in making a book, even if there is demand, if so many other people have already made this book and they're already selling extremely well, because it's going to be very, very difficult to come into that market. And this is where the strategy of assessing KDP competition comes in. It is super easy to spot when a niche is too saturated because it'll be full of books that aren't selling. And you can see how well a book is selling by looking at what it's called its BSR or its bestseller rank that I showed you earlier on in this video. Now, if I just take you back to this really poor example of a KDP book, I'll show you exactly what I mean by needing to understand how our books are selling to see if it's a good opportunity or not. So if I just type in horse word search into Amazon, as you can see, here are all of the results. So if you just type this into Amazon, you can see the first part of that kind of 3-part process is that there needs to be recommended kind of keywords off the back of it, in which case this does. So this shows there is a potential opportunity for demand. We now need to look at the BSRs, i.e. how well are existing books currently selling, to see if that demand is actually validated and these books are even selling in the first place. So that would be step one. Step two is now looking at all of these books to see if they're actually selling well. And the way you do that is by looking at what's also known as the bestseller rank here. So I actually have a Chrome extension called DS Amazon Quick View that allows you to see the bestseller ranks of all the books without having to click into the actual listing itself. I will leave that link down below in the description if you want to go ahead and download that. It's completely free. I recommend everyone who does Amazon KDP has access to that. But as you can see, these are sponsored ones. So let's go down a little bit further here. So horse word search puzzles, 1.1 million in books, 1.5 million in books. Remember, the higher the number, the less it is selling. So these are really, really poor books. 1.1 million again, I think that's the same one. We've got here 370K, 1.5 million, 3.4 million. So none of these books are selling. So if you actually were to do research into Amazon KDP and you'd look at horse word search puzzles, you would know that there's absolutely no point making these books, because although, yeah, some people are searching for them and they're super easy to make and it looks great in a YouTube video, you're not going to sell any of them because none of these are even selling in the first place. In fact, this seems to be the best-selling horse word search on the market. Let's go ahead and take this BSR, put it into that KDP BSR to sales calculator, put this in, and as you can see, this is selling less than 1 unit per day, and that's the best-selling one on the market at the moment. So this is so clearly a bad book to make, which is why it just frustrates me a little bit when you see, you know, authorities on KDP kind of misleading people into how easy Amazon KDP is. Amazon KDP is a great business model, but it's not as easy as just making a load of rubbish books and then expecting them to sell. So this is the kind of the research you need to do before you even create a book to know that it's actually going to sell. I would take one look at this and think a horse word search just isn't going to sell because the BSRs are absolutely terrible. 700,000, 1.7 million, 328,000, 485,000, just such a lack of potential here. However, on the flip side, if you typed in something like horses coloring book, as you can see, first step ticked off, loads of recommended keywords. So there is seemingly some kind of demand for that. Let's see if that demand actually translates into sales by looking at the BSRs of these books. And as you can see, all of a sudden, these BSRs are significantly better, i.e. these books are actually selling, whereas the other ones just look great. So as you can see, this one here, 16,429 BSR, 9,000 BSR, 21,000 BSR, 53,000 BSR. Now you're probably thinking, Sam, well, because there's so many other books, surely that means it's a bad thing because you're competing against them. Well, you're competing against books in the other niche as well. The only difference is, in this niche, people are actually buying the books in the first place. So if we just take this one here, it's not even the niche leader, and I go into this calculator again, rather than making less than 1 sale a day, this is now making 17 sales per day. Now, I'm not saying yours will definitely make 17 a day, but it shows that there is more demand in this niche than there was in the other one. In this case, I would say it's definitely worth exploring this a little bit more. Even the books that aren't quite selling as well, 137,000 would still be by far and away the best-selling book in the previous niche. So there's just so much more demand for a horse coloring book than there is something like a horse word search book. And that's essentially how you look at the BSR to conduct this research to make sure people are actually going to buy your book before you waste a load of time and effort making it in the first place. Now, in terms of an in-depth niche research strategy, there is a lot more that goes into successful niche research than just looking at this, but I can't possibly include it in just this one short video because it would take a lot of time and it is a lot more in-depth than this. But for those of you who are interested and want to take this to the next level and learn everything you need to know to get started on Amazon KDP as a beginner, whether that's creating a number of different types of books, how to do this research effectively, how to start advertising your books, then I have my Publish for Profit Academy course, which is a complete beginner's course for Amazon KDP. It's 3.5 hours long, and if you have any questions, you can also ask me under every single video. There's a comment section there. So you're not just giving a load of videos and having to figure it out for yourself. I'll be there on hand to help you with that. If you want to check that out, I will leave that link down below in the description for you to check out. So once you've done your research and you've found that there's potential demand for a book, and then you've validated that demand by looking at the bestseller ranks of other books, only at this point should you then start creating your Amazon KDP book. And as I mentioned at the start of this video, the best way to do this is by using tools. Now, because there are so many different types of books you can make, I can't include tutorials on how to make them all in this one video. You know, there's activity books that contain a load of random activities, coloring books, maze books, word searches, crosswords. This video would be ridiculously long if I showed you how to do in-depth tutorials about all of these, but I do include tutorials about how to make all of those different types of books in that course I mentioned just a second ago. And what I will also do is leave in the description down below links to loads of different videos on my channel that I've already made showing you how to make different kinds of books. That's probably the best way, and you can go ahead and pick and choose which ones you want to watch. But you need to remember the value of Amazon KDP is in the research, not necessarily the book itself. The book just delivers on that research that you've done. But if you've not done that initial research, you're just not going to make any money. So there you go. There is how I sold over $900,000 worth of books on Amazon without even being an author. And crucially, the steps that I would take if I was to start this from scratch today to try and make money as quickly as possible from this business model. Now, if you're new to KDP and you have any questions, please do let me know in the comment section down below. I'll be more than happy to answer any of those. And thanks very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.